though, but passing on such type of comments, hurting ego, and being, a lot is being talked about gender bias discrimination and all. So these type of comments are not uh, granted from the policy. Then gender-based insults or sexist remarks, making babies about women or more about women. These are not acceptable. Unwelcome sexual overtones in environment, making obscene gestures or using indecent language. All these comes under sexual harassment. Generally, because a lot of students are hearing this today, we understand that only rape or going to an extreme level is considered under POSH, but no, all these kind of remarks which I have just covered up, these are also considered as POSH. Touching or brushing against any part of the body, displaying pornographic or offensive derogatory pictures or cartoons or pamphlets or sayings. Maybe if you're not directly pointing out to somebody and you have a notice board and you have thumbpinned any derogatory pictures, so that is also considered under POSH. Forcibly physical touch or molestation, abuse of authority or power. So using authority, stop this or I'll complain, then I'll stop your promotion. No. So you being a boss, you being a senior or you being in a authority position, you cannot overpower the situation. You have to be very authentic and genuine while you talk to your peers, while you talk to your colleagues, while you talk to your subordinates, anybody. Threatening adverse consequences on raising objections or resisting advances. Now, what is workplace? Workplace is any place where a working relationship exists. This relationship can take many forms, such as colleagues, peers, superior, subordinate, employer, employee, vendor, customer, mentor, mentee, reporting manager, reportee, team lead, team member, student, anybody working from anywhere. And now because of this COVID norms, we have understood that working from office, working from home, even traveling to client's place, traveling to your university, traveling to your institution, going for a project, volunteer work, internship, anything comes under workplace. Now, why again and again I am repeating that, why is it good for students to learn POSH from now only? Because a lot of students are taking up volunteer work, a lot of students are taking up internships, they are going to corporates or they are working from home. So they should know what is POSH, what norms they have to follow, and if somebody is trying to overpower them, then how they can resist those, how they can protect themselves from these POSH situations. So this is very important, because earlier we used to have only once in 3 years of your academic curriculum, only once in 3 years you used to have these internships. Now, because we have ample of time, we have ample of opportunities, so every now and then students are taking a lot of volunteer work and internships. So you should be well versed with POSH policy, do's and don'ts of POSH policy. That's why it is required. Now, extended workplace, offsites, outbound trainings, client meetings, training sessions, office parties, any place visited by the employee or student arising out of or during course of employment, including transportation. While you're traveling for a party, for a meeting, for your to your university, for your internship, for your volunteering work, anything, it is a part of POSH. Traveling for office purpose, any place where one visits in the course of due to employment, even office parties, your college parties, your farewell parties, everything is considered under POSH. Now, who is an aggrieved person? All women, men working or visiting any workplace. Please read this carefully. All women / men. So men are also considered under POSH. There are few cases which have been found out that there were some, even I was a part of a POSH committee where women were trying to do some gestures, unavoidable gestures towards men, and men had to take up a step and complain against those women. So yes, of course, the intensity is less, but yes, there are few cases. So men are also covered under the POSH, but largely the POSH policy talks about women. So all women, men working or visiting any workplace, regular employee, temporary employee, ad hoc, daily wages, engaged directly or indirectly, contractor, working for remuneration, voluntary or otherwise. It includes students also, because we are talking about a lot of volunteer work. We work with a lot of NGOs. So all that volunteer work also counts there. Terms of employment may be expressed or implied. Could be a co-worker, contract worker, probationer, officer, trainee, apprentice, visitor, anything. Also covers women working in dwelling place or house. So very important line again, women working in dwelling place or house. Our domestic help are also covered under POSH. So now we are talking about types of POSH, are behavior patterns which depicts about POSH or unavoidable circumstances. It can be visual. And now what comes in visual is ogling, staring, posters, magazines, flyers, calendars. What comes under verbal is requests for dates, questions about personal life, lewd comments, dirty sexual jokes, listening. So very careful questions about personal life also. You should know where to draw the line, what kind of questions and what kind you ask. Otherwise, you should not ask much questions about personal life until and unless it is the requirement of the task or the assignment, or maybe you are going for an interview or you are in such a situation. Otherwise, questions about personal life should not be asked. Then written, love poems, love letters, obscene poems, obscene letters, cards, email, internet. Touching, violating space, patting, grabbing. Patting is also considered. See, we come across a lot of cases. I'll slightly here stop sharing my screen and I'll talk about patting. So what happens is, when we are students, patting on somebody's back is considered to be very normal. And that is considered to be very normal in corporates also. But you have to be very careful that, because we don't know what happens is sometimes, like for an example, I'm sorry, I'm going from my office, I'm going from home to office, and I am in a bad mood. And XYZ patted on my back generally. But because I am in a bad mood, I just thought, why is he touching me? Why is he patting on my back? And it's his regular affair because I'm not in that frame of mind. My mind is not healthy at that point of time, and I may take it against myself that how is he patting my back, and I tend to complain against him. So we are not wrong, the other person is not wrong who was patting on my back, because we regularly do it. But today, because I was in a bad mood, I thought of taking an action against him. So please be careful. We should be very careful while doing this activity, because we always are not in the same frame of mind like we were yesterday. So we have to be cautious. We have to be careful why to enter into that and go into that justification thing. No, my intention was not this and I was not intending. We do it daily. So why to enter into all those situations? Better to avoid those situations. So patting is, again, you have to be very conscious, as I just mentioned. I see a lot of students, I think, joining. In case you have any questions, you can always put it in the chat box, and I'll in between stop sharing my screen and I'll take up those questions. So we were talking about touching. So pinching, even pinching also comes under this. Then power, using position to request, promising, threatening loss of job, threatening loss of, when we talk about students, sometimes there have been few cases, not many, but few cases where faculty said that if you don't come with me for a cup of coffee, I'll not give you marks in your internals. So all these things you can always voice against these kind of situations. Then force, the extreme, rape, physical assault. Offensive conduct may be a violation. Individual perceptions and reactions determine harassment. Behavior unwanted by recipient may be harassment and are always inappropriate. Behaviors may not be intended to harass, but that is often the result. See, I just discussed with you about patting, that behavior may not be intended. The other person's intention was not to harass me, but because I was not comfortable, I was not feeling good, and I decided to complain against that person, then the committee will sit and decisions will be taken. Behaviors are intentional. Goal is to intimidate, harass, or hurt another person. So yes, behavior matters a lot. Behavior counts a lot. It is always good to be, when we are talking about a corporate world, when we are talking about a professional world, just like that doesn't work. Say, you have to be authenticated and you have to be valid enough with genuine proofs and why you did any act. In short, workplace sexual harassment is when the behavior is unwelcome, sexual in nature, a subjective experience, impact, not the intent matters. The impact, not the intent matters. Underline this line. So unwelcome means that, your intention is not bad, but I am not comfortable. So that is called unwelcome. If I am not enjoying it, I am not comfortable, that is an unwelcome behavior. The other person might feel that this is nothing big. It's normal. It's common. But for me, it's not normal. For me, it's not common. So you have to be very, very aware. Now, who can be the victim? Anyone can be a victim. While it is true that more women are victims than men, anyone can be a victim. Men are often ashamed to report harassment because they think that only women are subjected to it. But yes, as I mentioned above, anybody can be a victim. Anyone can be a harasser. While more men are sexual harassers, women can commit sexual harassment too. I just discussed all this. So I'll quickly cover all these aspects. Why sexual harassment occurs. Now, why this occurs? Very important.
Hello.
I think somebody has to mute. There is some background noise. Yeah, thank you. So very important to understand why sexual harassment occurs. Sexual harassment usually occurs due to an imbalance in power. Our intention is not to misbehave, but because we are not in a healthy frame of mind, we are going through a lot of mental pressure, maybe in our personal life, in our professional life, or anywhere. Often sexual harassers are using their behavior to dominate others and show their power. Sexual harassment is rarely romantic. While it can be due to failed relationships, it is more frequently an attempt to make someone feel inferior. So it is not always that you want to touch somebody or you want to, purposely do it. But because we also don't know that where we are coming from, what is going in our background, what is going in our subconscious mind, what is going in our personal life, professional life, and the outcome is that we tend to do some inappropriate acts. So these are few of the reasons why sexual harassment occurs. Now, sir has already, I'll quickly, in 2 minutes, I'll tell you how the law Posh came into existence. So there was a woman in Rajasthan in 1992. This case was very famous as Vishakha case. Bhamri Devi, she used to prevent child marriage, and during her duties, performing her duties, she revolted against a girl who was a girl child who was getting married. And in Rajasthan, Rajasthan is a place where today also women are considered a lower strata of the society. So, and we are talking about 1992. So the landlord of that place, they were zamindars, they raped her to teach her a lesson. She filed a case, rapist went free because there was no voice, no proofs were there, and the rapist was set free. She again fought for herself, and finally, 1997, Supreme Court gave the guidelines, and they came up with Posh, that prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplace has to be taken care of. And this is a fundamental right of women, right to equality, right to live, right to voice her thoughts, and protect herself from sexual harassment. And in 1997, Supreme Court gave this verdict, and finally, the Posh policy came into existence in 2013, and it became mandatory for all the organizations, workplaces to follow Posh policy, because it is not only about protecting a women's right, but it is about gender equality, it is about gender bias, it is about work-life balance, it is about having more and more women in the corporate world. Because there are certain norms which have to be followed, women need protection. So hence the Posh policy finally came into existence in 2013, and it has been made mandatory. Recently in Maharashtra, there was I think in the month of February only, there was a guideline by Maharashtra government in universities and organizations. They are not especially in universities, but more in organizations. They are doing random checks that whether the Posh policies are in place or not, whether the ICC committee is there or not. And if they're finding that the organization is not following Posh policy, or they don't have the committee, they're fining them up to 50,000 rupees. So this is I think these kind of acts will enhance Posh policy and make this world a beautiful place, not only for women, but for every person. So the sexual harassment of women at workplace, and it talks about three aspects: prevention, prohibition, and redressal. Now, how it talks about three aspects? Prevention. It tells you that what comes under Posh. So if you are aware about that, so whenever you are patting a woman, whenever you are whistling, or any unwelcome behavior, so it is already talking about, so you will be cautious that, okay, I don't have to do such acts in a workplace. Prohibition. It talks about prohibition. Okay, if you have done, then what are the legalities? I can take legal action. Then, if something act has occurred, if a Posh case has occurred, then what is the redressal process? It is not that, okay, we know that Posh policy is there, we know the do's and don'ts, but what after that? There is a redressal mechanism to it, that if something wrong has happened with somebody, how it can be redressed. So the Posh policy talks about three aspects, that is prevention, prohibition, and redressal. So we have already discussed about aims and objectives. Now I'll quickly touch upon the grievance redressal process. If something has happened, an unwelcome behavior was there and somebody has filed a complaint, so the complaint has to be filed within 3 months, that is 90 days from the incident. Complaint is made to, there is an ICC committee, internal complaint committee, or there is a local complaint committee where the number of people in an organization is less, then the case is filed to a local complaint committee. And every district is having a local complaint committee. So if the case is not filed within 3 months, if it is filed after 3 months, then what is the reason for delaying? It has to be recorded in writing, and then the ICC committee has to take a decision that whether the reasons are justified. And what can be those justified reasons? If there was an extreme case, the aggrieved person could not voice it, did not have that courage to file it, or was going through some mental depression or anything. So with reported documents, the incident can be filed after 3 months also. But normally it has to be filed within 3 months. Then employee can request for a settlement. That okay, now what happens is there are two ways to settle this. One is one is name is misused. Okay, let me file a Posh complaint and settle it monetary, take some money and settle it off. No, mutual settlement can never be in monetary. So when we talk about settlement, so the complainant and complainee, they both come together in front of the ICC committee, and they both agree that okay, this happened by chance and there was no intention. And if they both agree, then there will be no inquiry, no further process, and the case will be closed in writing, and the report will be sent to everybody. And maybe some counseling session if required, or an apology letter, or a warning, whatever is required as per the agreement will be taken care of. In case there is no settlement, then there is an inquiry. Now, if the inquiry is there, then inquiry has to be sorted in 60 days. And there is a complete process. Then in 60 days, whatever is the outcome, maybe there is a punishment, or if the person is not found guilty, ICC together have to come to the conclusion, file that come to that decision, send it to the employer. The report has to be submitted to the complainant and complaining both. Also, all these things have to be kept confidential to make so that the work life doesn't hampers. Because other people may feel, oh my God, this happened with this person, it can happen with me also, or it can happen with any third person also. So all these things are to be kept confidential and dealt with utmost confidence and with utmost maturity. Now, when the process is going on, so if the complainant wants, she can go or he can go on a leave. They can change the department, they can change the workplace location, anything, whatever. It depends upon the case. The case is very sensitive, or it's a normal small thing situation which happened, or it's an extreme thing. So depending upon the mental status of that person who filed the complaint, and depending upon the gravity of the situation, the decision can be taken. ICC will take the decision and action will be taken. So we have already discussed employee, any person who is working as a contractor. now very important point here, because we are talking about students. Let me again stop sharing my screen and tell you. So what happens is, when we are talking about Posh, now we as students, we don't have that courage that we voice, okay, my God, something has happened with me. How do I voice my thoughts? How do I voice that something bad happened with me or somebody tried to bully me? Now you have to be that courageous. And at this point of time, sometimes these awareness sessions plays a very important role. Sometimes your faculty members, sometimes your mentors plays a very important role. Sometimes your colleagues also play a very important role. Now, how colleagues play a very important role is that if we see that something wrong has happened with your friend, with your peer or anybody, you can always tell that person, okay, this is something unwelcome, you are not feeling comfortable about it, please voice it out, please address this concern. Because what will happen is that then otherwise we will stop interacting with that person. We will not enjoy the workplace, or we will not enjoy coming to the university or attending our classes. So we have to be very cautious, because the implications, the impact is too high. That one incident happens, we tell ourselves, okay, let me forget it. No problem, let me forget it. If it happens next time, then let us see. So we are telling it to ourselves, but our subconscious mind is not allowing us to live a healthy life, because next time we will, tend to escape. While that person we see, while talking to that person, we will escape, sitting with that person. So it's better to address it. It's better to take help. It's better to bring it to the knowledge, so that it's not only about you, because it is about the larger community. Maybe that person is going through something in his or her life, and you are able to help that person. So it is always good to voice the thoughts. It is always good to express it and redress it. And you will also be in a better situation while working. You will not be in a fear zone, and you will work selflessly. So I think that's very important here. Also, when we, what happens is, when we see that there are, okay, so what I was talking about, let me just share the screen and quickly show you that what are the impacts of yeah, here I am. So what causes workplace harassment? Emotional distress, fear, anxiety, guilt, loss of self-esteem, embarrassment, anger, illness, even ulcers, headaches, stress-related symptoms, exclusion from groups, loss of income, loss of job, disrupts career. What it costs if you don't voice it, what costs to the management? Poor morale, low productivity, absenteeism, staff turnover, damaged public image. Next time you will not like to refer anybody to join the institute or the organization. Ultimately, it hampers the company pride. So these are very important aspects why you should voice if something wrong has happened with you. You should not keep it with yourself. You have to trust the process. You have to trust your management. You have to trust the Posh policy. If some law is there, you have to trust that. Now, there are some facts which I have taken out from Google, and these are global facts. More than 3 out of 4 women had been verbally harassed. So why don't you voice yourselves? And what are the kinds of harassment? 77% is verbal sexual harassment in women. Unwelcome sexual touching is 51%. Cyber sexual harassment is 41%. Now, I'll quickly touch upon the cyber sexual harassment also. What happens is, because this COVID situation has taught us a lot of things. We as I mentioned initially, that if we talk rubbish, or if we pat on somebody's back, or if we go take any extreme steps, that only comes under Posh. But yes, this COVID has taught us about the virtual work also. Now, you can't forcefully ask anybody to switch on their cameras. If somebody is not comfortable, you cannot ask. You cannot comment on the dressing sense. You cannot put any casual message in the chat box. You have to take care of all these things. You have to be very cautious while you are taking such actions, that we feel that, okay, nobody is on. If sometimes what happens is, there is one-to-one meeting, we feel that, okay, nobody is there, so I can talk anything here, I can comment on anything, on hairstyle or anything. But no, all these meetings are recorded. there are screenshots. You can't abuse somebody or say something which you should not have, even for at virtual meetings also. Sometimes, if you are in a rotational shift, at night shifts, you cannot ask somebody or anybody to switch on the camera, or you cannot tell them. Maybe you are not asking some other person to switch on the cameras or commenting on them, but you are trying to showcase yourself. Look, I am sitting in a half sleeve t-shirt, or I am sitting in a banyan only, and attending my meeting. It is so good. You are trying to be a little casual, a little pally with the person, but you are not allowed to do that. So again, when we are working from home, we have to be same careful. We have to be same cautious like we are when we are working in person. So all these things have to be taken care of. And believe me, my friends, the redressal mechanism is very strong, is very powerful. I'm very happy that your institution is organizing the awareness session today, because they could have chosen some other topic, but this is the need of the hour, talking about Posh, making people aware about do's and don'ts of Posh. How can you protect it? We can be, supporting partners to each other. If we see that something wrong is going with somebody, we can empower that person. We can, if there is something extreme, we can complain on that person's behalf. And the redressal mechanism and the ICC committee can take actions. Now, how can we prevent these cases to happen? One is the Posh awareness. The second is awareness posters. There can be some quizzes. There can be some real-time plays. There can be some real-time stories, case studies. All these things help you prevent the Posh cases. And I think studying all these things at a ground level, of course, this requires time, but studying all these things at a ground level will make you better humans, because it is not only about women, it is about making our society a better place to work. A lot has been talked about gender diversity. The report says that if especially for India, if we continue to take initiatives and steps of gender diversity at this speed, it will still take 100 years for India to be 100% gender sensitive. 100 years means a lot. So we all have to, each person has to take the accountability. Each individual has to take the responsibility. Man, woman hardly matters. To make the environment, to make the workplace a better place to work, we have to respect women. On Sunday, I met a woman who is very closely, she is founder of Manas Foundation. So she is very closely working with Delhi government. And what she is doing is, because we see a lot of rape cases happening, sexual assault happening at night, so she takes she is running special workshops for auto rickshaw drivers, and especially for auto rickshaw drivers who run auto rickshaws at night for women. So they have a very beautiful tagline, punchline at their auto rickshaws, that we respect women. And they are trained for Posh, they are trained for mental wellness, because whatever happens with you, whatever mental situation you are in with, you cannot assault a woman. Because what happens is, it is triggered that I am in a bad mood and I don't know that how I am talking, how I am behaving. So whatever happens, whatever situation we are in, but we cannot disrespect or we cannot misbehave with any woman. So I think a beautiful initiative by her. I recently met her on last Sunday only, and she is doing a wonderful job. I think she as a community, as an NGO, is doing this, but we as humans should take this responsibility, that I as an individual, I take pledge, I take pride, that I will respect every woman, I will respect every individual, and I will contribute. It is not about the other person. If we take responsibility, if we take charge of our life, that I take responsibility of myself, that I will never disrespect a woman, or I take charge that I will always respect women, or I will always follow Posh policy, the world will itself become a beautiful place to live, to work, to have a healthy work environment. All these awareness sessions, all these things are happening because the ultimate objective, the final objective is that we all want this place to be a better place to work. Only the environment, only the authorities, only the Posh policy cannot work. We all have to work together. Government made this regulation, the policy came into existence, the authorities are making it mandatory, they are imposing fine. But finally, We as humans, we as students, we as faculties, we as management, we as organizations, we as institutions, we as a man, we as a woman, we have to take charge of all these things and have to take pledge. Can I request all of you to take pledge today that I, as a human, take this pledge that I am accountable for my behaviors and I take responsibility that I will always respect a woman. If I see any woman, I will try to help that woman. If any woman is in need, I will try my best in whatever way I can. I'll try to help that woman. If we take charge of ourselves, the world is definitely going to be a better place to live, to work, and a happy environment creates a lot of happy people, a lot of happy souls, and a lot of opportunities, a lot of possibilities for us. Even a man cannot complete any place, a woman cannot complete. The work-life balance has to be maintained, and this can be maintained if we handhold each other, if we collaborate with each other, if we talk about each other, if we walk the talk. Basically, we say that a lot of awareness is there. Okay, we attended the session. I am addressing this session today. Now, what after this session? Are we actually going to reinforce this in ourselves? Are we going to walk this talk? Are we going to take this pledge? This is what matters. I think this was from my side today. If there is any question, any feedback, any suggestion, I am open to it. Over to you, sir. I think Meghna, you have to take charge now.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar, respected principal, dean, and faculty for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. I extend my gratitude to our honorable keynote speaker, Mrs. Shaifali Sangal, to take out time from her busy schedule to grace the event. I once again thank you all for your kind cooperation. Good day. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure interacting with all of you today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
நிறைய தடவை மக்கள் என்கிட்ட வந்து கேட்டிருக்காங்க, நான் டெண்டுல்கரை பற்றி பேசலாம், லக்ஷ்மணை பற்றி, கங்குலி பற்றி, உங்களை பற்றிலாம் பேசணும் அப்படின்னு.